Have you ever wondered why perfectly smart, rational people suddenly make foolish, even dangerous decisions when they're part of a crowd? It's a strange phenomenon, isn't it? It feels like our individual intelligence just evaporates, replaced by a kind of collective unconsciousness. This powerful psychological force is known as crowd psychology. Today we're going to pull back the curtain and decode this mass mentality that has the power to overwhelm the individual. Are you ready to understand what's really happening when a group gathers? Let's dive in. The concept of crowd psychology isn't new. It was first seriously examined way back in 1895 by a French sociologist named Gustave Le Bon. In his groundbreaking work, The Crowd, a Study of the Popular Mind, Le Bon identified a startling transformation that occurs the moment we become part of a crowd. He argued that three key psychological mechanisms kick in. First, there's anonymity. When you're lost in a sea of faces, you feel invisible. Your personal identity fades, and with it, your sense of individual responsibility. The crowd provides a shield, a cloak of invisibility that makes you feel like you won't be held accountable for your actions. This diffusion of responsibility is the first step toward losing yourself. The second mechanism is contagion. Think of it like a virus of emotions and ideas. In a crowd, feelings, whether it's excitement, fear, or anger, spread like wildfire. There's an electrical charge in the air. An idea proposed by one person can be adopted by the entire group in an instant. This rapid, unthinking spread of emotion leaves no room for rational thought. In moments of intense panic or collective rage, the time to stop and think simply disappears. And that leads us to the third, and perhaps most powerful mechanism: suggestibility. Once you're swept up in the emotion of the crowd, your critical thinking abilities plummet. You become highly open to suggestion, almost like being in a hypnotic state. You stop questioning, you stop analyzing. Instead, you readily accept the ideas and commands of a charismatic leader or the dominant sentiment of the group. Le Bon concluded that these three forces, anonymity, contagion, and suggestibility, work together to transform a collection of rational individuals into a single, unified, and highly emotional mass. It's no longer a group of people. It's a new entity with a mind of its own. So this all sounds like a fascinating but abstract theory from the 19th century, right? Well, not exactly. The principles of crowd psychology are more relevant today than ever, and they profoundly affect our daily lives in ways we might not even realize. Let's look at some modern examples. First, let's talk about financial bubbles. Think about the stock market or cryptocurrency crazes. You see a particular stock or coin skyrocketing. Everyone you know is talking about it, buying it, and seemingly getting rich. The enthusiasm is infectious. This is a classic example of herd mentality, a direct offshoot of crowd psychology. People start buying not because they've done their research or believe in the fundamental value of the asset, but simply because everyone else is buying. They're afraid of missing out. This collective euphoria pushes prices to completely illogical and unsustainable levels. And what happens when the bubble inevitably bursts? Financial collapse. The same crowd that drove the prices up in a frenzy of optimism now panics and sells in a wave of fear, causing devastating losses. The herd mentality, driven by the crowd, is a primary engine of financial instability. Next, let's consider the digital world. Social media and rage. The internet has taken crowd psychology and put it on steroids. Platforms like X, Facebook, and TikTok have created digital crowds on a scale Le Bon could never have imagined. The anonymity he spoke of is amplified behind a screen and a username. This digital shield makes people far bolder and, unfortunately, often far crueler than they would be face-to-face. Outrage spreads in seconds. A single tweet or video can trigger a massive digital mob, leading to pile-ons, cancellations, and intense online harassment. This digital mobbing is fueled by our most primitive emotions: anger, tribalism, and a desire for social justice, however misguided. The digital crowd, with its instant contagion and lack of real-world consequences, is arguably the most dangerous and unpredictable crowd of all. And there's a third, more subtle impact: the weakening of our ability to solve problems, a phenomenon known as the diffusion of responsibility. You've probably heard of the bystander effect. It's a classic example. When an emergency happens in a public place, the more people who witness it, the less likely it is that any single person will help. Why? Because everyone assumes someone else will take action. Someone else will call for help. Someone else is more qualified. I don't want to get involved. The responsibility is so diffused across the crowd that it effectively vanishes. No one feels personally compelled to act, and so tragically, often no one does. The crowd, instead of being a source of strength, becomes a source of inaction and paralysis. So faced with this powerful, often destructive force, how can we protect ourselves? How do we avoid being swept away by the emotional tide of the crowd? The key, the absolute foundation, is to fiercely guard your capacity for critical thinking. Your individuality is your best defense. Here is a practical rule of thumb. If you see a large crowd moving in one direction, whether it's in the stock market, in politics, or on social media, make it a habit to stop. Pause, and seriously consider doing the exact opposite, or at the very least questioning the collective wisdom. Challenge the dominant narrative. Ask yourself, why is this happening? What are the underlying motives? Am I thinking for myself, or am I just following the herd? Crucially, never make your most important life decisions, financial, personal, or professional, in a moment of high emotion, whether it's the wild enthusiasm of a bull market or the sheer panic of a social media mob. Don't let group pressure dictate your path. Take a step back. Give yourself time and space to think clearly, away from the influence of the crowd. Your individuality, your ability to reason and question is like a dam. It's what stands between you and the overwhelming emotional flood of the crowd. Cultivate it, strengthen it, and never, ever surrender it. If you believe in looking beyond the surface, in decoding the systems that shape our world, and in taking back control of your own mind and your own life, then make sure you subscribe to our channel DecodedLog right now. We'll see you in the next video.